Happy holidays, everyone. I'm Reverend Sharon Dunn, the Senior Minister of the Sacramento Center for Serious Living.
Not so much right now.
The Senior Minister for
Cut.
the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. And we are here to bring you our gift for the holiday season 2022 called the Christmas, the Birth of Awareness. And what I want you to know about this is that every word in this beautiful play that we are doing a table read for is Ernest Holmes' words. He is the author of the Science of Mind textbook, as well as the founder of our teaching. And these words were found in numerous resources, some from the archives, some from his radio show, some from the Science of Mind magazine. And we compiled this together for you to share this holiday season that Christmas and New Year's fall on Sunday. So rather than have you all out in your matching pajamas, we thought we would bring you this gift. And I am now going to turn it over to our board president, Ruth Hall.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Happy holidays. This is a pretty exciting thing we're getting to do today, and I want to introduce to you the Board of Trustees for the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. We're going to start with our amazing senior minister, Reverend Sharon, and apparently next to her is Christmas morning.
Good morning.
And we have a couple of trees here today too. Reverend Patricia Van Workum is one of our trees, and Carol Marr, another flashy tree over there. We also have Reverend Patricia's special person, Doug Van Workum, who's joining us today. He's going to help us out with this special presentation. And we have a beautiful representation of winter and Hanukkah with Margie Lukefield, one of our practitioners. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We are missing somebody from our board today, and we're wishing her well. Corey is not feeling well. She's under the weather, but we know she's going to be better very soon, and we're wishing you a very happy holiday as well. So, without further ado, we're going to start this very special presentation for you called Christmas, the Birth of Awareness.
Writing.
Oops, we have quite a
Why do we have
echo.
that?
Because we're live.
And well, because you're in the North Pole, Doug.
Of course.
That's
There we
good.
go.
Oh, I know why. Let's see. Let me think.
You're good right now.
Okay. Here we go. Writing in the early part of the 20th century, Dr. Holmes followed the convention of the times in using masculine terms to represent gender. Rather than attempt to rewrite now classic material, I have retained his original style. I'm going to set our opening scene. Imagine, if you will, we are all sitting together by the fire, sharing Ernest Holmes' words about everything Christmas.
My dear friends, enjoy, I greet you at this Christmas season. As our thoughts go back to that divine man who came to show us the way, the truth, and the life, let us light a candle in memory of him and pray that our light also shall shine, casting a beam of good cheer across the pathway of everyone we meet.
What is Christmas?
Christmas is for remembrance. The love manifest through our gifts to each other typifies the offering of life, the givingness of spirit to its creation. The hands of the eternal outstretched through our hands, and the heart of the infinite beats in the human breast. But the giver must give of himself, for the gift without the giver is bare. It is not enough to give money to a great cause. Only those understand giving who give of themselves, withholding nothing.
Do we give?
give lavish gifts? It is not in lavish gifts that we find true giving, but in the sweet simplicity of remembrance, and the kindly thought, the tolerant mind, and the gentle act. Love alone can give love. Sympathy alone can sympathize, and only goodness can really do or be good.
Are we rewarded for giving?
The one who gives for reward does not give at all. He seeks to bargain, to trade for spiritual gifts, and hence he senses a loss in his own giving and finds no completion through the act. But he who gives half of his meat to the hungry feels justified and is warmed by a real sense of comradeship. He has established an actual unity between himself and another offspring of creation.
Do we give to charity?
Great causes succeed when there is a giving of humanity to humanity. With the check must come the one who wrote it, his interest, his enthusiasm, his love. The check must be a symbol of his desire to impart of himself. Then shall it multiply its benefits and do good. Charity is cold, but love is warm. When heart speaks to heart, a design conversation has taken place, a heavenly discourse.
What is the meaning of Christmas?
Christ is born to or within each, as the human gives way to the divine, as strife gives way to peace, as confusion gives way to poise, as weakness gives way to strength, as fear gives way to faith, as doubt gives way to certainty, as hell gives way to heaven, as misery gives way to happiness, as we give way to spirit. The human will find no place in the divine certainty, for God does not will anything to happen. God knows, and the result of God's knowing produces creation.
Then is Jesus Christ God?
Christ is the image of God, the likeness of the Father, the Son of the universe, the man that Spirit conceives. Christ is not limited to any person, nor does he appear in only one age. He is eternal as God. He is God's idea of himself, or his own self-knowingness.
Am I the image of God then?
Jesus located God in his own soul. So complete was this realization that he was unable to find a place where the being of Jesus began and God left off, or where the being God began and Jesus ceased. Jesus thought of the Spirit as being personal to him, as directly responding to and being aware of man's approach to it. He located God in the kingdom of heaven within himself. This was a different concept from that of the teachers who had preceded him, and quite different from that of most of those who followed him. For nearly all taught that God was a mandatory power, sitting somewhere in the vastness of space, governing the world with rod of iron and rule of law.
Then am I the Christ?
Christ, the perfect man, is developed within us through the realization and revelation of the self to the self. God in us is Christ, and Christ in us constitutes our true sonship to the parent mind, which is God. Every man is a potential Christ, and as yet undeveloped divinity. From the least to the greatest, the same life runs through all, threading itself in patterns of our individualities. He is, quote, over all, in all, and through all, end of quote.
But Jesus said, "No man cometh unto the Father but by me."
Jesus proclaimed, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me." He was not talking about Jesus. He was talking about you. Jesus gave us back to ourselves. How are you ever going to consciously reach God other than through your own nature? There are no prophets other than the wise. There is no God beyond truth, and no revelation higher than the realization of the divinity within us. That which the ages have failed to reveal, you and I must reveal, each to himself in the secret chamber of our own heart, the secret place of the Most High, where only and alone does one abide under the shadows of the Almighty. This aloneness is not loneliness. It is the one all-inclusive, all-penetrating unity of everything that is.
What did Jesus come here to teach?
Jesus taught two great universal truths. One, that we are surrounded by a divine presence which presses against us everywhere. The other, that we are surrounded by universal law of intelligence, which is creative. It is done unto us as we believe. No other person before or since had ever been so specific about this.
What is the Immaculate Conception and the Virgin Birth?
They stand for the concept of the originating creative principle or power, God, and the Word of God operating in and through all things. This is called the Spirit of God operating upon the soul of God, or the Father-Mother principle. It means that the divine creative word operates in the physical universe, planting itself there by involution and then by evolution, reaches back to heaven to complete the cycle of creation.
What is the Immaculate Conception and the Virgin Birth?
We just said,
And what does Father, Mother, God mean?
what does?
Great questions.
In all ancient religions, there is this idea of Father, Mother, God. During the first few hundred years of the Christian church, the mother element was called the womb of nature, the creative fertility. They said man is spirit, soul, and body. The spirit operating in and on the soul of the mind, impregnating it with the divine ideas, gives birth to the Son.
What is heaven?
Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Heaven is harmony, and harmony in many tones is unison. One note is not harmony, and one alone would not be heaven. The one manifest in the many, and the many recognizing the one in all. This was the teaching of him whose birth we celebrate. As we harmonize with all mankind, the great chord of the angel anthem peals forth its message of peace on earth, goodwill to men.
What does modern science, or the science of mind, think of this?
Modern science is going in the side door or back door of ancient revelation. It is said that every form comes from one substance. The old philosophers had the idea of something that moves. That is the Father God something that is moved upon. That is the mother God. And the result is the child.
What about the incarnation of Jesus?
The Christ, which Jesus revealed, is already incarnated in our own nature. And this hidden center seeks to find circumference throughout our lives. The intellect must give its consent, and the mind must unify with the spirit. The outlet for truth must be true.
What is the significance of Jesus's short life?
We look upon it as a terrific event in history, the impact of probably the greatest spiritual prophet who ever lived, and the last, I think, of the great line which started with Moses. Moses was the lawgiver and is pretty hard and a pretty hard-boiled person. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This is cause and effect. All of our laws of justice are based upon this. We find Moses going up to the mountaintop and getting the 10 Commandments. Always the greatest prophets have been those who go to the mountaintop of intuition and consciousness. They had to bring their vision down to the lower levels of human perspective because most people do not often go to that mountaintop. But all people have an intuition within them that may preserve the meaning of the mountaintop. Moses taught the great law of cause and effect, justice. Jesus came and said, I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
What did Jesus fulfill?
The relationship of the individual to the universal. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. There is a personal element in it. There is a warmth and a color. God is not a principle. God is a presence. This is a great revelation. As the laws of jurisprudence came from Moses, so the laws of equity came from the teachings of Jesus. Moses spoke of the cosmic engine, but Jesus taught us how to run it. Put the two together, and you get the greatest spiritual teaching the world has ever known.
How did Jesus make things to happen?
Jesus gave no indication in his healing ministry that he was forcing anything to happen. Rather, he displayed a calm assurance and an inner knowingness that the right thing was being accomplished. He rose above appearances and embodied in his own thought the full nature of the perfection that came to pass. All of this was a process of thought that enabled him to recognize the nature of things as they really are. There is no evidence of his ever violating any of the laws of nature. Rather, there seems to have been a proper use.
What is the significance of Jesus's birth?
Whether we realize it or not, our thought can and does permit the creation of the conditions of our body, making it sick or well. It does control our circumstances, making them happy or unhappy. It can bring into our experience any good that we rightly conceive. No one understands the science of mind until he has come to see that it is man who sows, but it is God who gives the increase. Man thinks his thought, the law of mind, makes it manifest. Just as Jesus recognized that he was one with the Father, so must we. It is the birth of such an awareness which we should let happen to us this Christmas time. When we reach this point in our thinking, we come to know the great good which works through us.
Has the human always longed for the Messiah?
Yes, this event is prophesied by the 3 wise kings of the East. There is a symbol. These 3 wise men followed the light, that light which must finally overcome the darkness. These men of great intellect, men of high estate, followed the intuition. that star which led them across the desert and the waste places of life, where the little child laid. This implies that knowledge without wisdom is not good. The Magi knew, and we are coming to know what Jesus taught, that you have to become as a little child to get into the kingdom of heaven. This Christ has to be born in us. The Magi surrounded their intellect to their intuition and followed it.
Meister Eckhart said God never had but one son, but that the eternal is forever begetting the only begotten.
Eckhart is saying that everyone is the Son of God, and he is begetting him in us now. That is what we have come to realize at Christmas. However beautiful the tradition, it is only as we bring it down to earth that it has meaning for us.
What does it mean that Christ must be born in us?
The divine impregnation and the divine incarnation is not something that is static. There isn't an atom of our physical body. There isn't an atom of our physical body that was here a year ago. We should never get physically older than a year. That's a nice thought. Isn't this a divine incarnation? Isn't this an immaculate conception?
What did Jesus, the way shower, come to show?
There is something flowing through us. At the center of everything is that which perpetuates and sustains it. There is something in me that rebuilds me and reforms all of environment every day. Jesus said that no matter what happened before, it can be changed in a split second. Your mistakes are forgiven you. Remove the block and get up and walk.
What is grace?
Jesus brought to the law what is called in the Bible grace. Grace is that which is not earned, but given. Jesus said, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom."
What do these words mean?
They should mean that if we could persistently change the images of our thought, we should be renewed. If 1 man in 1,000 will go forth and teach man his uprightness, he shall return to the days of his youth, and his flesh shall become as the little child's. Behold, I make all things new. This is the meaning of the incarnation of Jesus.
What is the meaning back of the Christian tradition of Christmas?
What good is the knowledge of a principle unless the knowledge has an application? We must take the teaching and apply it in our own lives. Then it comes down to earth. Christmas is the most glorious tradition on the face of the earth, the greatest idea of profound simplicity, even uttered by the mind of a man, the sweetest story ever told.
How do we bring it to earth?
What good is it to merely sing praises to a heavenly host? What good to look back 2,000 years ago to watch a divine event of the incarnation of life and light and love, of wisdom, truth, beauty and majesty, power and might? What good unless right now Christ is born in us today? Every expression of love in thought, word, or deed expands both the personal and the collective consciousness. Thus, Christmas, by emphasizing love, glorifies the world that we live in.
Is this what is meant to be born again?
We are in the hands of power greater than we are, and we wish to become servants of this power, gladly following it, divine guidance. It's divine guidance. Love is the greatest thing on earth, the greatest thing on earth, and the highest gift of heaven. It is the only thing that can heal the broken heart and bind up the wounds of the world.
Closing scene now, we return to the spiritual center where a ritual of communion is now prepared for the congregation. A communion, an offering of bread and wine or grape juice.
Or eggnog?
As Jesus spoke the bread of life with thanksgiving, and in joy distributed the wine of spirit, let us, with equal love, follow his example. Together, let us know that we now take our part in helping to bring peace on earth and goodwill among everyone.
And now for our offertory.
So we now offer you an opportunity to give, and that is to give of yourself to the spirit of the divine presence, the Son of God, Jesus Christ, Jesus the light, Christ the light. And just take that in your heart this season. Enjoy each other, love each other, be with each other. It's us, we're all one, and we're all together. And so we offer you this beautiful service today through our center, and we bless each other, and we give thanks. And please, please have a great, merry, merry Christmas.
And you can send your donations either to our P.O. Box 1861 in North Highlands, or you can go to our website, which has a donate button. Makes it really, really easy.
www.sacscsl.org, right?
Yes, sacscsl.org. And we appreciate your support. We hope you've enjoyed this service.
Thank you.
And now our closing prayer, remembering that all of these words, except for the questions asked by our beloved Doug, were the words of Ernest Holmes, including this closing prayer. Patricia?
So, as we fill our heart and soul and mind to the glory of that which is, may the inspiration of the infinite spirit within us make us aware of our eternal birth that is forever taking place.
And may love surround and glorify all gifts and words of cheer this Christmas. In my heart, I take you by the hand and wish for you a Merry Christmas and a glorious New Year. And I think we can all repeat that together. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and a glorious New Year.
Wonderful 2023.
Good holiday.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, all that you, happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy everything we celebrate.
Happy every single
The
day.
solstice. Yep.
Bye.